Hi, welcome to today's healing. I'm Kristen, and if you're joining me today, that means that you are ready to make a change in yourself and the world around you. I'm going to be talking about the 9 signs that will let you know if you are living your soul's purpose. And these 9 signs were revealed by Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet, and he conducted 14,000 sessions in the early 1900s in a deep trance-like state. He did not remember anything because he was so deeply entranced, like a very deep self-hypnosis. But his faithful secretary recorded every session, and they are now located in the Association for Research and Enlightenment Center, and that is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is a spiritual and wellness center, and one day I would love to go there. But I have to go visit my kids too. They live in different states, and now my youngest daughter is having her first baby, so I'll be going there a lot, I'm sure. But anyway, I would love to go there someday. Okay, now the sole purpose isn't about career or external achievements, but about becoming a clear channel for spiritual forces to work for the benefit of all souls' spiritual evolution. This spiritual awakening requires spiritual persistence against ego resistance, doubt, and discouragement. So, the soul's purpose is basically to be incarnated on this earth to become spiritually advanced enough to help in the soul's advancement of others and their healing, which goes hand in hand. So let's get into this. Number 1, healing presence phenomenon. If you are living the life of your spiritual calling, you naturally become a conduit for the healing energy, promoting healing in others simply through your presence. And I've talked about this before in Power versus Force, where just being next to a person or distance healing can allow healing in others. It activates their energy to vibrate higher, and it opens them up to the possibilities of working through their issues for their healing. Cayce referred to this as Christ consciousness frequency, and it extends beyond physical ailments to spiritual catalysts. A person in this state is able to use the flowing energy going back and forth, known as spiritual ripples, to help activate those around them. Distant healing allows you to not have to be physically present in order to help with their healing. And when I was doing Power versus Force, if you look back on that, what we were doing is basically distance healing on others, but we also worked on ourselves. Number 2 is ideals manifestation. Souls living their purpose experience increasing alignment between their spiritual ideals, love, patience, and service, and daily reality. This alignment leads to karmic acceleration and intensifies learning experiences. We've all heard of karma, and that is where we learn from past mistakes. Some people go around and around and around in lifetime after lifetime and stay in the same karmic pattern. And, now karma is kind of learning about our past and present and what we need to do in order to work through our problems and the old cords that we're connected to other people and issues with ourselves. And Dharma is kind of what we do with that knowledge, where we further and get out of that karmic envelopment that we're in for that issue. Number 3, enhanced intuitive guidance. Purpose-aligned souls develop a stronger connection to the divine within, receiving increasingly accurate guidance through dreams, meditation, and intuitive knowing. This guidance always directs you toward greater service to others. And I know for me, I have reached a level of knowing, and I reached this a long time ago. And then I went through some dark times with some really deep issues that I was working through, and I kind of shut down. But now I'm opening back up, and I feel that connection. I feel less judgmental. I realize that everyone has their issues, and if I stand back and consider everyone as a soul working through their human issues, then I can open up more to this enhanced intuitive guidance. Sorry, I have to read it because I can't remember everything. But it's true, once you're becoming conscious and aware, and once you are aware, you are responsible. And so what we want to do is continue to open that awareness at higher and higher levels. Number 4, service magnetism. Individuals naturally attract opportunities to serve others in ways that utilize their unique spiritual gifts and talents. These opportunities often appear as problems or challenges that need solving. And I wondered years and years ago, it's like every job that I had, it was one that they were in dire need of help, and my abilities to kind of work unsupervised, if you will, and help them get things righted. And I was like, gosh, why am I always stepping into all this chaos and things that need to be righted in these jobs? But I realize now that this is my role to play. This is how I step in to help throughout the chaos and the need. And there's always people around in these jobs that need help as well spiritually. And so I just know that this is part of my purpose. This is where I stand. I walk in and I help with the chaos and the drama and help unravel that and help bring more peace. And it's not always easy, but it's what I'm here to do. And you too will find where you're supposed to be and what your purpose is. And my purpose here is to be a healer. And that's where these 9 steps come in. Number 5, patience development through divine timing. Purpose-aligned souls learn to work in harmony with God's timing rather than forcing personal will. And this is something that sometimes I still have to work on because I'm not always patient. I have to step back and say, wait a minute, there's a reason this is happening like it is. And so I have to continue to remember that. And right now I'm going through something at work that I have to stand back and watch it play out, but also hold on to my own integrity. And then you develop active patience with this one, continuing your service while trusting and understanding divine timing. And this is what I'm working on. Years ago, before that dark time in my life, I understood this, and I could see, people as souls working through their human development, and I'm getting back into that now. But once I left my business due to COVID, my holistic healing business, and had to go back out into the corporate world, um, you know, it's not always home every day. So I'm really working on bringing those two together and reconciling the job that I have, the life that I have, and the soul that I am, and continuing on with my purpose. Number 6, conscious karmic balancing. Souls actively work to balance karmic debts from previous lifetimes through present life service and spiritual growth. You recognize difficulties as opportunities for spiritual advancement. And many years ago, when that psychopath latched onto me and really messed me up, and I was in years of therapy, um, and also some childhood traumas, I would tell my therapist, I feel almost honored. And this is before I understood all of what this is about. And I said, I feel almost honored that I'm going through this because it's pushing me and opening me up more spiritually and learning more. And now I understand the process. I'm just working through it. Number 7, expanded consciousness access. Souls gain increasing access to the Akashic records, leading to a gradual expansion of understanding, wisdom, and spiritual perception that guides their service work. And I've talked about Akashic records before. And this is, you could call it a book, but I have always seen it as the field of discovery. And this is a person's past, present, future, everything they've said and done and thought, it's all in this Akashic records. And as we advance spiritually, we are able to access these. And in my business, I was doing this every day with my clients, and I could just see so much. It was just, I was open all the time, but grounded. And every time I saw a person, I saw things, but only what I was meant to see. And then as they opened up more, I could open up more and see more of their developing problem, and how I could help that, whether it was medically, intuitively, or spiritually, or in their physical mental capacity. So this is something that, to consider as you move forward in your life's purpose and figure it out. Number 8, spiritual responsibility work. Purpose-aligned souls naturally accept greater responsibility for their spiritual growth and their influence on others. You become conscious of your vibrational accountability, maintaining constructive spiritual vibrations. And in Power versus Force, it was all about our vibrational levels. And as we open up more and heal more ourselves and take that lighted path, then we are going to vibrate at a higher level. And like I said before, once we are aware, we are responsible. And so many people aren't aware, but once they are around people that are living their life purpose and are healers, they become more aware, and then they become responsible, and they become open to change and their own healing, and then they move on to find their life purpose. So this is definitely the ripple effect, and this is a beautiful thing. I love seeing it happen. Number 9, conscious co-creation with divine will. Souls learn to distinguish between personal will and divine will, aligning their desires and actions with spiritual principles. This creates spiritual abundance and effortless service. And I've discussed this in Power versus Force, where basically in enlightenment, your divine will and your human will merge and become one, and it's all just divine will. This is selfless service where the ego has little say. People try as they might to admonish the ego or ground it out of existence, but the ego is something we must meet in the shadows and work through the ego's issues in order to move ahead spiritually. We need the ego to let us know where we're at on this spiritual journey. Our goal with the ego is to have it take a back seat, not annihilate it. When you are enlightened, the ego doesn't exist, but until that time, make ego your friend and help it through its dark times. The ego is where our issues lie, and we'll go through a dark night of the soul, is what they call it, where we have to work through some major issues, and this can take a long time, but what you're doing is working through your issues, and this stems from the ego. And once you can kind of put the ego on hold and put it in the back seat, but it's still there, you are in charge, you're the driver, and you are more spiritually aligned. Our goal is to take the lighted path without having to think about the path we're on. Sometimes on this journey, we'll take the darker path, and if we don't back up and turn around and take the lighted path as the option, then we can become very lost and maybe never move out of the darkness. We can always back up, reaching the fork in the road and following the lighted path. As we let the light hit our face and feel comfortable and used to it, we will automatically choose the lighted path. And one day there won't even be a fork in the road. We're on our way to the light as a natural way of being. And this is something that I have worked on my whole life. So if you think about it and you wonder, why did that person do that? But then maybe they'll back out of that incident and then make the right decision later. And remember, this is something to consider as well. There really is no right or wrong. It was right for the person or yourself at that time, or you wouldn't have done it or said it. And then you learn from it. And then next time, or maybe the time after that, you are going to make that lighted choice. And this ends up becoming automatic, where you are so advanced and so in tune with your spiritualness and the divine that it just becomes a natural way of being. So those are the 9 signs that you are living your soul purpose. All right. I want you to go out there and practice these and be conscious and aware of these and be responsible and go out and use your healing gifts. Even if you're not a Reiki practitioner, that doesn't matter. We all are made of energy, and we all have energy, and we all have the flowing ripples that move back and forth. So please go out there and change the world. Okay, bye-bye.